In this video, I'm going to be talking about why I think the Sony FX6 is the best solo operated camera you can purchase in 2022, if you can find one. Here's the story. Recently, I completed a project for my local church where we did a creative service which was exclusively online. There were 8 different segments that made up this online presentation, and I found that the Sony FX6 really did shine in all the different scenarios. The first segment that we had was 2 hosts talking to camera in front of a white screen. And for all the segments, instead of using wireless lapel mics, I used a shotgun microphone, the Rode NTG3 to be exact. It was on the end of a Rode Boom Pole Micro with shock mount, and I found it to be a great solution to get good clean audio in all the different locations that I was filming in. I wasn't just filming inside, I was filming outside as well. And having the Sony FX6 filming outside with its electronic variable NDs was game changing. If you've done much research into the Sony FX6, you probably would have heard people talk about this feature as one of the things that separates this camera from other cameras. And that is completely true. Once you use the electronic variable ND in the Sony FX6, you're never going to want to go back. Other cameras might have internal NDs like the C70 and other Blackmagic cameras, but they're hard NDs. And if you turn from one ND to the next, you can see a big shift in light when changing. But with the Sony electronic variable ND, it can be nice and smooth so you don't see that jarring effect. This can be particularly helpful when you're shooting on a partly cloudy day and the sun is going behind the clouds as you're filming. For the segments that involve 2 presenters, I would use the Sony 24-105 f4 lens. And then for the segments that involve just one person talking to camera, I would use the Sony 35mm f1.8. I really do like the Sony 35mm f1.8 because you can get a nice depth of field using that lens. The biggest concern I have with this lens is the chromatic aberration that it can produce. This can be a fairly simple fix in Lightroom when taking photos, but it's completely different when taking video. And one audio feature that the Sony FX6 has, which I find really helpful, is there are 4 channels of audio. So you could set one of your inputs at what you would think is an appropriate level to get nice clean audio. And then you could dial back the levels on another channel. And then you've got a safety track just in case your original track blows out and distorts. Having reliable autofocus is also another thing that is really helpful with the Sony FX6. Being able to just touch the face of the person that's talking on camera and then know that the camera is going to keep it in focus the entire time, especially when it locks onto the eye, is really helpful. Gone are the days where I would worry about my talent being in focus when doing interviews or presenting to cameras and having to be meticulously staring at the screen to make sure that the person is in focus. I can reliably trust that the Sony FX6 is going to keep them in focus and do an excellent job at it. For my key light, I used the Aperture 120D Mark II, and I found it gave nice flattering lighting in the different scenarios that I was filming in. On this shoot, I did also use my Sony a7S III, and I used that on my iFootage Shark Slider Nano and also on my gimbal to get nice dynamic moving shots. Although I could strip the FX6 down and put it on a gimbal, that is a bit of a time waster when on set because I've already got it kitted out to be in a specific configuration to get the majority of the shots that I would want with my projects. And that includes having a V-mount battery attached to the camera and also an external monitor as well. And having to take all those things off just to put onto a gimbal is a bit of a time waster and something that I'm not looking to do. Whereas with the Sony a7S III, I can quickly just put it onto my gimbal or onto the Shark Slider Nano and get great dynamic moving shots that way. So as a solo operator, if you're looking for the perfect pairing with the Sony FX6, I would suggest either the a7S III or the FX3 if you're not able to get a second FX6. Overall, shooting with the Sony FX6 is an enjoyable experience. It also puts my mind to rest knowing that it's got great autofocus, and when I'm shooting outside, it has the electronic variable ND that, when set to auto, is able to automatically adjust the light levels and keep your image exposed correctly. It's got great audio options, and the image that it produces is great as well with the Sony E-mount lenses. But let me know what you think. There's a link in the description below for you to watch the entire presentation, and you can leave a comment and leave some feedback on how you think the video came together. Personally, I was really proud of how the video turned out, and without having the FX6 and the a7S III, I don't think I would have been able to have completed this project to the level that it ended up being. And that's the video. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, please give it a like. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to this channel for more videos on video creation in the future.